Welcome to another broadcast of the Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
Will you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to our May 1st Board of Commissioner meeting.
Mayday, we need help.
You always need help. Commissioner Lori has the dog today. I want to see you pick that dog up, Lori.
I'm not picking this one up. They usually bring me the little ones, but we don't have too many little ones today. We have a black lab who will be available Saturday at 3 o'clock at our kennel. Want to sit? Sit. 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 Doesn't want to sit. I don't know if you know this, Ted, but last week your dog found its home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my fiance, Ron Masmiani, saw an ad in the paper that said lost dog, and he recognized the dog from the meeting, and my assistant Sherry called the family, and we got the dog back home, and the kids were like dying for this dog. It was a great story. So.
Wonderful. It's a great dog. I was just talking about that. Chow Mix was a great
it was
dog.
A very nice dog, but this one's really calm. See? So come on out to our kennel. Jack Slumpa, our dog warden, said we're not euthanizing many dogs these days, so that's good news. So that's why I didn't have any little dogs. So they're mostly big out there this time.
And we don't want this one to end up euthanized, so come
No, we
adopt the
don't.
dog.
So come pick them up and take them home.
I have what I consider an interesting thought for today. It says, one evening an old Cherokee chief told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside people. He said, "My son, the battle is between two wolves. One is evil. It is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf wins?" The old Cherokee chief simply replied, "The one you feed." I'd like to introduce my shadow for today, my granddaughter behind me, Amelia Jones. Amelia is a sophomore at Wellington High School. And I guess some of the students get to go out and shadow, and so she's my entertainment for today. Madam Clerk?
At 9:45, we're going to have a presentation from Dee Smosny and Kathy Tokart, the Elyria Local Coordinators for Special Olympics. Under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services
moved.
Bills.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
No investments, appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
I think I'm a frog.
Advances, repayments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Travel expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
All right.
Before we go on, we don't usually talk about the recap sheet, but I didn't sign the one, Jack Kilroy was on there again, and I don't think we ever got anything from the prosecutor's office to say whether that would be a conflict of interest since he works for Mark Stewart and also doing that on the side.
This is a new bill?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you hold it and we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Well, they already passed it.
Well,
So
I
there
didn't
needs to be-
sign
there
it.
needs to be well, but there needs to be two of you that,
Well, we can agree to hold it.
yes, I just want you to modify your resolution to.
Recap sheets, though, the money's already expended, isn't it? We
But
don't really,
it
we're not
is?
pre-authorizing anything. It's not?
You just want to hold that one bill?
Well, some of them are whitebacks, right?
Yeah, they're whitebacks, but they have not been paid yet until you guys approve them, then we send it downstairs, and then they expend the money, but it hasn't been yet.
Okay,
It's just like a requisition, we have it there, but it hasn't been.
so we can modify the resolution to make a hold on that one particular line item. I think they need to rescind that resolution or modify, whatever the procedure is, Madam Clerk.
What do you suggest, Jerry?
Why don't we have a motion to rescind that part of the resolution?
Just that part.
Right.
Also move.
Second?
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
All right.
Thank you.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez?
Thank you, Madam President. I do have a minor amount of potential new hires to discuss this morning, specifically at Golden Acres. So at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, I would like to discuss that, and it's a permissible topic under the Sunshine Law, and also to update you on a matter of ongoing bargaining with one of our collective bargaining units. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the same for Lorain County Board of Commissioners meetings for April 24th and 29th, 2008.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
All right.
Under Children and Families Council, instruct clerk to advertise for requests for proposals for Help Me Grow to provide direct services for FY09 for families with children 0 to 3 years of age. Notice will be published in the Chronicle on May 2nd and 9th. The mandatory pre-bid meeting has been moved from the 16th to the 14th, from 9:30 to 2 p.m., and will be open at 2 p.m. on May 23rd in the Commissioners' Public Hearing Room.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Twining, would you like to introduce our new director?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm pleased to introduce the Children and Family First Council, or Family and Children First Council Director. I get the names backwards sometime. It's Melissa Stefano. She comes to us. She's been here about a month now. She comes to us from the Vermillion YMCA where she worked, and Melissa would like to talk to you real brief.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Melissa.
Again, my name is Melissa Stefano, and I come from the Vermillion YMCA, where I was CEO for 7 years. Prior to that, I was at Lakota for 3. I was a licensed social worker and served in that capacity. But varying background, military, sometime between all that, I raised a family. And I live in Vermillion, and am very excited about my position.
We're glad to have you on
Thank
board.
you.
Mr. Cortez will especially like the military part.
Yeah.
Always hire a veteran if you can, especially in this day and age with a lot of our veterans returning from overseas. Melissa's already done a wonderful job for us in the last month, and this is a brand-new RFP, and the whole process has been revamped. And I also have to thank Mr. Twining for working on this side by side with me. It was quite an overhaul. I think this is the biggest one we've had in about the last 7 or 8 years to try to simplify the process. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we can do better with Help Me Grow in the future.
Thanks to all of you.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Community Development, instruct the clerk to advertise notice of public hearing for Lorain County Erosion and Sediment Control Rules. Notice to be in the Chronicle on May 12th and 19th, 2008, and hearings to be on May 22nd and 29th at 9:45.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Twining, do you want to comment on Rebecca? Well, the reason I asked for you is because I thought Rebecca should. Sorry.
I'm glad Mr. Twining passed it over to me. I really don't have any comment at all, as I have not seen this resolution, or nor was I aware of the public hearing, so my bad for that, and I apologize. But
I thought Nancy Fanai was working on this through Soil and Water. Is that correct?
Her and Kristen Brandon.
Oh, Kristen. See, that's
Kristen is the one
okay,
working
I'm
on it.
sorry.
There
And
we
that's why I
go.
was scanning the audience. I thought that Nancy would be here. So anyway, she gave me a heads up that they
Okay,
were doing this.
great.
So
Thank you.
we'll just have the public hearings and do what we have to do. Thank you.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Approve various changes to Lorain County CHIP Policy and Procedure Manual. 1, the addition of the emergency monthly housing payment activity. 2, the deletion of land contracts and life estates from eligibility private rehab. 3, raising of hard cost limits to $15,000 from home repair in the case of septic replacement only. Changing the walkaway policy to allow for the increased limit of $15,000 for septic replacement under home repair. Changing in the maximum amount of assistance per unit for Habitat to $20,000. And changing the affordability period from Habitat from 20 to 10 years.
And these are the changes that Phyllis outlined to us when she reported on the program at the last public hearing. Also move for approval.
I'll second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Job and Families, authorized purchase of service agreement with Life Care Wheelchair Transportation, Inc., Elyria, for non-emergency medical transportation services. This is effective July 1st, 2008 through June 30th, 2009, with a 1-year renewal option in the amount not to exceed $80,000, and authorize the director to execute on behalf of the board with prosecutors approval as to form.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Instruct the clerk to advertise requests for proposals for prepaid gas cards. Published in the Chronicle on May 5th and 12th, open at 2 p.m. and May 19th in the Commissioners' Public Hearing Room.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Instruct the clerk to advertise requests for proposals for prepaid merchandise cards for school supplies in the Journal on May 5th and 12th, open at 2:15 on May 19th in the Commissioners' Public Hearing Room.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the Transit, amend Resolution 0825 adopted January 14, 2008, the MOU with Vermillion Community Services Council in amount not to exceed $15,000 for transportation services. This amendment is to reflect the deletion of the insurance clause and replace with the hold harmless clause.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the engineer or contract to Lytel Construction, Inc., Wooster, in the amount of $388,737.75 for the 2008 Chip and Seal program. Issue notice to proceed letter on or before July 1st, 2008, and complete on or before August 1st. Authorize county administrator to notify the county auditor to release retainage at completion of said project, and the estimated cost was $476,200 to be paid from supplies materials account.
So moved.
Second with a
Discussion.
question. Jim, is Karen Davis going to be the prevailing wage coordinator on this project?
Yes, this is the engineers project, so we'll be doing the prevailing wage. This is the Lytle. We've had discussions with Lytle about some concerns that have been raised by some of our supporters in labor with regard to the prevailing wage. They have indicated to us that they are following all prevailing wage requirements. I talked to Pete Pappas, and he indicated there may have been a problem with one of our contracts last year, and he was going to send it up for me to take a look at. But to date, I haven't received any paperwork from him to review. We're very diligent on prevailing wage with our contracts. Some of the concerns had to do with the township contracts that were not within our purview for responsibility. Mr. Carney acted as a technical reference on those for technical advisor, excuse me, for the townships, but we didn't do the contracts, and he has forwarded those concerns to the prosecutor's office to take a look and make sure that the laws are being correctly followed with regards to prevailing wage in those contracts. I don't know if Jerry's aware of that.
Yes, I am.
So we're good.
I had long discussions with Mr. Innes this morning, back and forth on the phone, and there's no way to assign a prevailing wage officer here because we don't do it to other contracts, but I have concerns with the contract, so being so low, way out of the range, it's
Lido has consistently underbid everybody, and it's a sealed bid process. Unless we find that there's been change orders in some of the older contracts, which drove the cost up on a repeated basis, and/or we feel that they don't have the ability to perform, unfortunately, Commissioners, not to be contrary, we're required to award to Lido.
That's what our legal told me
Commissioners,
today.
we,
Okay, well,
as is our standard practice, when we get a bid that is significantly under the estimate, we bring the contractor in. We talk with them. I believe the engineer's office and Ms. Davis both met with them. We had a rather lengthy discussion in which we expressed our concerns. There were various explanations given as to why there was this difference, and there was, once again, as is our consistent practice, when we have a low, extremely low bid, we indicated that we were going to be keeping a close eye on this and make sure there weren't any shortcuts or anything to it, and that's the best we can do at this point, and that's what we're going to do with this project.
Thank you.
Well, I hope we stay on top of this, because in my discussions with Pete Pappas, there are many ways to skirt the prevailing wage, make everybody laborers, certain things that they can try to do to keep their costs down. And it is a red flag when the estimate was 456 and, the other two bids were over 500,000, so we better keep a close eye on this one.
the interesting thing, Commissioners, over the last few years, they have consistently been much lower, and they have performed, and we will, like I said, do the due diligence. We've ordered their contracts with the county, and we haven't found any inconsistencies in those contracts. And if Pete does have something, obviously we'll be right on top of it. The prevailing wage war is not completely foolproof, as you've indicated. But we do talk to folks out there, and the way they list things is up to the company. Are they flexing the law a little bit to their advantage? Maybe. But we couldn't find anything that was too suspect to be able to do anything about it.
I'll also do our due diligence and follow up on it, so no
We will.
one's skating the rule.
Certainly, we always want to take care of our friends that bring that to our attention and our supporters.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Instruct the clerk to advertise for bids for 2008 resurfacing program, published in the Journal on May 2nd and 9th, and open at 2 on May 16th in the Commissioners' hearing room. Funding will be OPWC, grant of $456,757, and balance will be from MVGT.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Madam
Clerk.
Clerk?
Yes.
Let's go to the...
You want to do the presentation now?
Yes, please.
Kathy Tokar and Dee Smosny.
Good morning.
Good
Morning.
First, let me say thank you for allowing me to come and share with you today. I'm Dee Smosny. I'm a special education teacher at Elyria High School. I've been a teacher for about 15 years. And Special Olympics, I've been the coordinator for this district, for Elyria District, for approximately 5 years, 6 years. Both my teaching and Special Olympics are very dear to my heart. I'm lucky and can say I love my job. I'd like to start off with a story. Last year, we had a new student enter our district, and she was an 11th grader. We'll call her Sue. She found it very difficult to make friends, as most of my particular students would find. And she had a few little quirks that would get on other people's nerves, as happens in high school. And she decided to be a cheerleader for basketball, for our basketball team last year. This is the first time we attempted cheerleading, so we weren't even sure what to expect. The girl that had given her the most problems through the entire year up to cheerleading ended up being her best friend after cheerleading. The same student went to state track and field with me in June, and as most 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-olds do, she grumbled the whole time we practiced, and grumbled and grumbled and grumbled some more. And when we got down to Columbus in June, she grumbled some more, until she realized there were medals being presented to the Special Olympians for first, second, and third place. And when she realized that, she turned to me and she said, Mrs. Mosney, thank you for pushing us so hard. Thank you for supporting us, and thank you for bringing us down here. And then she turned to the 14 other students and said, you should be thanking her too. She just wants what's best for us. Special Olympics is a program dedicated to empowering individuals with intellectual disabilities to become physically fit, productive members, and respected members of society. The program offers year-round training and competition for persons who are 8 years old and older and are considered to have an intellectual disability. The Special Olympics provides people with disabilities the opportunity to compete and earn various awards. Those awards can be ribbons, they can be medals, they can be trophies, but more importantly, it gives those students the chance to earn self-respect, pride, and just enjoy the accomplishments of themselves, and the opportunity. Most of them have siblings that participate in what I'm going to term regular sports, and they now have a sport that they can also participate in. While this is all going on, we are also changing the world's views and attitudes about people with disabilities. The purpose of Special Olympics in Elyria City schools and how we handle it is that it allows the students an opportunity to succeed. Our Elyria City Schools program offers swimming, basketball, cheerleading, bowling, the May track and field event, golf, and state track and field. As the coordinator, I coordinate all of that, and then I have a committee of approximately 14 people that help me to accomplish that. We are dedicated to maintaining and improving these programs as funding comes available, as time is available, as volunteers are available. May 16th of this year will be our 28th year at Ely Stadium. It's pretty exciting. We will have various schools. The entire county is invited. The schools at this point that will be participating are North Ridgeville, Avon Lake, Midview, Lorain, Amherst, Murray Ridge, Keystone, Fireland, Sheffield Lake, and of course Elyria. When it was begun years ago, Elyria was the primary school. As most of you know, the trend now is to move units back into the neighborhood schools, and that's what's been happening. There's approximately 500 athletes at that event each year. It is open to the public. I would ask that you stop by at any point. I'm a little harried that day, but I can stop and say hi. Elyria City Schools program offers programs to students from the ages of 18 to 22 years, and that's because we just educate them to 22 years. The state offers programs 8 years old and up, and I can say that I've seen what looks to be very old gentlemen running in June. Our May special event offers programs for children under the age of 8. We offer a field day, and those with orthopedic handicaps, we have an orthopedic handicap field day for them too, so that the entire age gamut of school is involved in this. Adult volunteers are needed in many capacities. For the May event, we have approximately 125 adult volunteers. Most of them are returning volunteers. They help set up, clean up, run the concession stand, manage the events, and some of them specify which teachers they would specifically like to work with. The students try so hard, and they don't care if they come in 6th or 1st. And the adults enjoy seeing the enjoyment on those students' faces. There are approximately 140 to 150 Elyria High students that come and volunteer. That amount varies each year, but that's an approximation. And what we do is send a request to all of the districts that are participating and all the teachers and ask how many kids do you want. And then we base the amount of kids on that. The kids have to be in academically good standing and behaviorally good standing. 60% of those kids are returning. We have a lot of 4-year students that do it all through high school. We have some students, Kathy's own daughter and one of my sons have been doing it since they were in 6th grade. That is an awesome thing for me. I get goosebumps thinking about it because Special Olympics has become important to them too. The rest of the Special Olympics programs need volunteers for coaches. In swimming, we use approximately 5 to 10 coaches and volunteers. Basketball and cheerleading, we have 2 coaches, 2 for basketball and 2 for cheerleading. We also need volunteers for chaperones on the bus. Bowling is completely done by the AMVETS Post 32, but they have approximately 30 volunteers that work the bowling, and it's a month-long thing. Golf is usually 5 to 7 adults. And finally, state track and field in June, we will take 8 chaperones. The state requires that we have 1 adult for every 3 students. This year, we're taking a record number for us of 22 kids to state in June. And we will stay on Ohio State campus, so that always gets them because they want to see the big horseshoe. Fundraising, all of our monies are from generous donations. We are not permitted as a local committee to charge anyone admission, any entrance fees, anything. However, the state gets to charge us those admission fees and entrance fees, and that's where a lot of our funding comes in need. We have used donors such as McDonald's, AMVETS, Windstream, Hungry Howie's, Bake Sales. The Masons give a lot of money to the state office in Ohio, in Columbus, and JVS, and there's various other patrons that we have used. We've been brainstorming ways, specifically this year, to come up with some fundraising ideas. We have several in the works for next school year. We're working very diligently this year to get as much as we can. We will, as you know, the rising cost of everything affects us. The biggest portion of our monies go to shirts, uniforms, and transportation. We keep our bus down in Columbus with us, and that actually helps our transportation funds rather than the bus dropping us off and coming back and going back to pick us up. For an example would be that in the last 3 years, the state office has raised the state track and field entrance fee up $30. This year, it is $130 per athlete per coach. I'm taking 8 coaches and 22 athletes.
Wow.
That adds up real quick, plus transportation, plus uniforms. Our uniforms this year cost us $1,400. We will be reusing those uniforms next year, so that will help in that cost. The total for state track and field ends up being about $5,000, and it's one weekend. Swimming is usually about $1,000. Basketball ends up being between $2,000 and $3,000. Again, transportation is our big issue there. There's not a whole lot of public schools that have Special Olympic basketball teams on a school age, so we have had to drive to Toledo and Youngstown to get our games in. Parents have asked that I expand the program, and they would like me to expand into soccer, baton twirling, bocce, having a skills basketball clinic, having a skills swimming clinic. All of those take volunteer time and money. The money is used, again, for transportation. We purchase medals, ribbons, and trophies. How can you guys help me? I thought a lot about this question, a lot. And I'll be honest, I'm extremely nervous standing here. The best way that I think the county commissioners can help us is to publicize our event and to publicize the fact that we need the donations. It's a great cause. The kids are wonderful. They become the pride and joy of my life, and I have 3 of my own who I take with me to all of these things. I've gotten my parents involved in this. My friends are all involved. We had a pizza fundraiser several weeks ago at Hungry Howie's, and Mr. Shuckman donated a percentage of his profit to us that evening. And everybody I came in contact with, I said, no, you have to go to Hungry Howie's tonight. Mm-hmm. And I probably was willing to buy pretty much everybody's pizza. But the word got out so fast and so quick, it's just unbelievable to me. We made over $900. And for us, we were floored. We thought, wow. And Mr. Schuckman is willing to do it more often. But this is an excellent cause. I would ask that you come out to the May event on May 16th. We officially start at 9:30. We're finished by 1. It's a great opportunity. It's a big opportunity. I would also ask that you publicize our event as much as you can, both for volunteers and fundraising. I did bring some brochures with me, and if you would like to take those, it has my information, my contact information on it. And just to summarize, this program in Elyria City Schools has gone on for 28 years. That's a long time for a program to go on. The programs continue to grow and evolve. I'm always amazed when it grows. And then I look in the mirror and go, and how did you fit that in your schedule? There's a 14-member committee that plans it, but the May event alone takes the entire school year to plan. We have to plan the menus, the transportation, we have to get all the event information in. There's just a lot that goes into that. As the coordinator for Elyria City Schools, I am dedicated to improving and making this and maintaining this program. But time and money is something I'm pretty much tapped out of. Please come out and see the students of the county. It's just an awesome experience. And when you see an athlete cross the finish line first or sixth or anywhere in between, and they're smiling and their hands are raised and they're cheering themselves on, let alone everybody else that's cheering them on, it really warms your heart and gives life a new meaning in a lot of ways. We did bring a slideshow. I don't know if you guys can see it. It'll be on the computer, she says.
You certainly don't lack for enthusiasm.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming today. Dennis and Karen Sharp and their kids volunteer every year, and he's been trying to rope me into it to fit in the schedule. And then I get here, look at my agenda, and Teresa Upton's son is a volunteer taking a state team down out of Brookside, so this worked out pretty good. And I'll be there next Friday.
Who is your son?
My son is Zachary Upton.
And he's
working as a volunteer for the last few years, and he's going to take
how
the state
awesome.
team now.
And there is a team from Brookside going.
Four kids.
Yeah, they're going with us. Their teacher and I have worked together for several
Mr.
years.
Chidlaw.
Yeah.
It's a small world.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Easy.
Oh, okay. We offer all track events at our May track and field event. These are various school students. You'll see all of them are in different colored shirts. We give the district's option of their shirts. And believe it or not, we do this in the rain or cold, and I preferably would like warmer weather this year. This is the long jump. I thoroughly enjoy watching the little kids do it. This is a state track and field meet in Columbus. Medals and ribbons are always given. This is part of our OH field day where the students can do various track events modified. Again, this is state. The orange shirts are us. Basketball, this team in particular was from Toledo, and they were good. They were really good. Bowling is modified either with bumpers and or ramps. This is a student and a gate trainer. Our state team. That probably is Saturday afternoon when we're all tired and hot from being in the sun. Ronald McDonald comes out to the May event as well as Slider. There's our cheerleaders. We're our pride and joy cheerleaders. Again, this is basketball. And then how can you help? Here's our volunteers. Keystone Schools bring their TI group, I think it is, and line them up at the stadium to greet the athletes. And there's the high school, Elyria High School students that volunteer. We also have our nurses from the district that are there. Life Care has an ambulance there that they also donate time to. Those are some of the trophies that were awarded by the AMVETS for bowling. Lorain County JVS does the Chain of Life. They charge the students a specific price for those links, and then they donate the money. They split it in half between the state offices and us. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for
Thank you for
Very
coming.
nice.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
We're down to Mr. Cortez.
Right, Mr. Cortez. You're on.
I am.
Yes.
I have no comments or reports this morning, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Ennis.
I have one matter of pending litigation that I need to discuss with the commissioners in executive session.
Jimmy, you want to turn the screens back over?
Yeah, we need the screen, please. Thank you.
Commissioners report?
Commissioner Lorain?
Yes, it was a extremely busy week this week. Thursday, I think we all attended the elected officials reception at DeLuca's, hosted by the BIA and I think the chamber too. But one thing that happened there was I talked to Rob Scheitower, who is a township trustee, and he had spoke about Allied Waste dropping off their containers for their garbage. He was totally unaware that their township was getting ready to do that. I know Amherst residents had no clue. Rob actually said, Betty, that they dropped one off in front of your house. You were not aware that we were going to...
No, but I've been using it.
My concern is, one of the problems is each municipality, each township, they have their own contracts with Allied. So when people call me, I had a woman call me yesterday, they have no idea what's going on, and I can't tell them because everybody's different. So I would like to see if we can have somebody from Allied Waste, Mr. Kidder or someone, come up and explain what's going on, which townships, which cities are going to start being involved with this process, and just kind of give an outline. The lady I spoke to yesterday went to the Lorain County Fair this past year and talked to somebody from Allied Waste, and they said, oh, you don't have to worry that your township won't be involved for at least 2 years, and here, you know, this week they dropped off the containers at her house. So I really think we need to have them come in and talk to us about, you know, who's next, you know, what the criteria is, you know, if you have extra garbage, what do you do with it? Everything's different, so I think, I don't know, you want to contact them and see if we can
I
put them on
think
the
part of the
agenda?
impetus for the containers is our solid waste enhancement monies. If you noticed last week, there were 3 communities that got enhancement dollars, and one of them was Carlisle Township, and I was sure that I read in the Rural Urban that the trustees had approved something with, I'm looking directly at Linda, I'm waiting for her to shake her head yes, that the Carlisle had approved something with Allied Waste, and then we approved sending them specific dollars, and some communities got more because they had approved different things. That's part of the enhancement program that we're approving. I think I'm correct, Mr. Cortez. Are you paying attention to me? Linda?
If I may, Commissioners, I'm Linda Jacobs from Carlisle Township. Carlisle Township trustees did enter into a memorandum of understanding with Allied Waste. We were told by Allied Waste prior to that memo that carts are coming to Carlisle on the second quarter of 2008 with or without any kind of understanding. So we agreed, the trustees spoke and at a meeting they did pass a resolution to meet the minimum requirements of the solid waste grant by doing the volume-based system, since Allied was a private company, bringing it to Carlisle with or without our consent. Just yesterday, we heard from Solid Waste that our incentive money is being taken back.
Well, why?
So we would like...
Did they say why?
They said we did not meet the minimum requirements of the grant.
We approved it last week.
So that's where we stand now, and I'm sure we'll be having some discussion with Solid Waste
So will
and
we.
Allied.
Well, I saw
Thank you.
Mr. Scheitower's letter today. He addressed it in Elyria Township, that Allied doesn't have their contracts with the township. They have it with the residents on an
Correct.
individual basis. Is that
Correct.
how
There-
Carlisle is?
Yes, there is no contracts with the townships. It's a private company who contracts individually with residents. And like I said, we've had no say. We were told, though, that before the cards came out that we could help with the brochure. I supplied all the information for Carlisle Township's recycling. A brochure was never sent to our residents. The cards were delivered with no information.
Well, can they then contract with another entity if they'd like?
We've signed
Your
a memo
residents.
of understanding for 1 year, which went through the prosecutor's office, was submitted to solid waste, approved and accepted. I'm not sure where we stand. I guess that's up to the commissioners now.
Well, we don't have a county-wide agreement with Allied. That's probably part of the problem.
That's what they fought the whole time. Remember when you were on it and I was on it, they wouldn't give us the countywide,
Well,
the home rule.
I'll tell you, we need to get everybody sitting down and looking at that, because we definitely would have the ability to do a better job if we had a countywide collection rate. A couple of years ago when this was looked at, part of the problem is that it cost Allied more to collect in the rural areas of the county than it does in the urbanized areas of the county, and so a flattening of the cost across everybody was deemed a little bit unacceptable by the more heavily populated northern part of the county, and that's where it kind of broke down. And we have no ability to make those jurisdictions come to the table and join on a global, regional Lorain County rate. I wish we did. I guess I can also understand how the administration of a large city like Lorain, and I'm using that as an example, not as the problem, would not want to potentially add increased costs to their residents because of that. So it's a difficult situation.
It is. There's too many unanswered questions, too many loose ends. It sounds like Allied just going and doing whatever they want to do without any input from the townships or the cities or us, and it's not fair to the residents.
Well, it's also one of the problems up in some of the cities is that you're not required to pay for trash collection. So in the city of Lorain especially, there's a good population that does not contract for trash removal.
Well, actually, by ordinance, in the city of Lorain, you have to pay for it if you have an address. I'm sure there are people skating it, but you have to pay for it by ordinance. I remember they put that in. I think you might have served on council back when that happened.
I don't think so.
My understanding is that there's, and this is an old thinking. I haven't looked at it in a number of years. It was about 20 or 25% of the residents, and we're about 20% that were not contracted for service. And that thereby raising the rate for everybody. But it could have changed, Commissioner, as you
They
said.
did. Late 90s, they changed it. There was a big issue with the trash collection. I remember by ordinance, they did it, so it might have been mid to late 90s.
So how should we proceed?
I think Allied needs to come in, let us know what their plans are for the rest of the county, the township cities. What are they going to do in the city of Lorain where there's parking on the streets? They're not going to be able to, do their new containers, lift trucks or whatever.
I don't think City of Lorain's accepted it as of yet.
Well, eventually, I'm
City of
sure
Lorain's got
Allied is.
contract.
Isn't there supposed to be a sample neighborhood or
A 900
right.
household sample in the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, I think we should bring them in
Pilot
here
program,
and tell them, have them explain to us what's going on. I don't like the fact that they said with or without an agreement, they're coming to Carlisle Township. What about the elected officials there? What about, they're not listening to anybody, they're just going and doing whatever they
Well, I think
want.
that's a concern because it's per resident, correct? It's not through the township. The township
Correct.
doesn't negotiate.
No.
Because a resident can choose whether they want garbage collection or not, correct?
Correct, that is correct.
I think that's the problem. It's not a township contract. I think
Right.
that's where we talk about the county, the host county, and that was fought by the other political subdivisions. They didn't want anybody, the county, in charge of trash collection. And now in retrospect, everybody's just being forced on it. It might have been better if we'd have done it countywide, because then you bring the strength of the county to negotiate. Mr. Cortez, you got something to say?
No, I'm just trying to figure out what to do
Thank you, Linda.
to move ahead. I know Commissioner Kokoski has a couple concerns. Mr. Twining and I will put our head together and see if we can't get Allied to come in and make some kind of presentation on what their plans are. Again, we can ask them. We can't make them come in, but we'll certainly see what we can do, and we'll try to do it pretty expeditiously so we can get some information out there. They're a business, and on again, off again, there's been some difficulties with the direction that the board wanted to move in the direction Allied moved. So we'll see what we can do.
Okay. Saturday, I attended the Hispanic Leadership Conference at Lorain County Community College, did the welcome. I think you were there Friday night. And Saturday night. And then Saturday evening, I went to Wadsworth, the first district, 5th district? Is it 5th district? Commander for the American Legion was his homecoming. His name was Mike Davies, and we had a nice time there. I met the commander for Lorain County, Gilbert, and he actually invited me to speak for their Memorial Day parade, so I'll probably be doing that. And then Monday, Ted and Betty and I attended the Workers' Memorial at Elyria and Lorain. And then Tuesday, Ted and I were on the radio for Mother Earth Sings, which will be held at Cascade from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock on Saturday. And then also May 6th, 1 o'clock here in the conference room, we will be hosting the Foreclosure Task Force, a seminar on how to use all the county websites. You'll learn how to use the recorder, the auditor, clerk of court, sheriff, probate courts, and the county prosecutor's office and county commissioners will also be assisting. We're also going to tape that, so hopefully like after our commissioners' meetings aired on TV, that it'll be aired so anybody missing that event will be able to still learn how to use all the county websites. So it's good for Lorain County residents. That's the end of my report.
Good.
Good.
I can go on to my stuff, just keep cutting them out as we traveled together this week. After the BIA elected officials reception, Councilman Eddie Edwards from the City of Lorain invited me to a foreclosure seminar. We had people from the Clerk of Court's office there, the Prosecutor's office, represented by George Corey, First Federal Bank, First Federal Savings and Loan, excuse me, from Lorain. Nice turnout, 40 or 50 people. Lasted a couple hours. It's nice that they're hitting the neighborhoods, and Councilman Edwards says he's going to continue to do this. And as you mentioned, Saturday night, I got to speak at the Hispanic Leadership Dinner, and I got to have dinner with the Secretary, Pedro Cordes from Pennsylvania, which is basically the Secretary of State, Jennifer Bruner we have, but he's an appointed position, not elected, is how they do it in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I joked it was nice that they brought in a tutor for Jose Candelario, our Board of Elections Director. So on Sunday, I was able to speak and be at the opening of the Pipe Yard, the new baseball stadium in the city of Lorain this year for our opening, honoring Negro baseball, Rube Foster and Ernie Nimmons, who is a resident of Lorain County. It was a neat story to sit and talk with those guys. Then Tuesday, we did our Project 10 here, 2 more companies before the state changed the rules on us. Last night I had the opportunity, I went to Cleveland. They had a fundraiser for Mary Jo Kilroy, a county commissioner from Franklin County who has ties to Lorain County. Very nice turnout. It's nice to speak with Mary Jo. She's a very forward-thinking county commissioner, and I think she'll make a very good congressperson. So it's nice to know somebody from down south when you need help in D.C. And then it was nice to hear about, I had some phone calls yesterday, Sherrod Brown's announcement about $36 billion towards renewables and green energy. I hope that legislation passes. I think that ties right into what Lorain County's doing in the state of Ohio. But yeah, it was quite a busy week. I'd like to thank my assistant, Tony Ann, wherever she went to. We had an issue with a constituent, a 20-year-old male, severe disability, not able to get any type of health care or treatment. He was refused treatment. He's since, he's past 19 now, so his parents' insurance don't cover him. And after 2 days, I'd like to thank Sherrod Brown's office, Betty Sutton's office. Those people are absolutely wonderful, and we were able to take care of that issue. So it was a couple days of heartache, but it really turned out well. That's the end of my report.
Golly, you commissioners are busy people. I'm glad I know you. After the elected officials function, it was really nice because I got a chance to talk to a large group of township officials and shared with Rob Scheitauer his concerns about waste pickup. On my way home from that, I stopped at East Carlisle School because State Representative Matt Lundy was listening to local residents, so I stopped there and saw many of my local constituents there. And on Saturday, while they were on one part of the county, I traveled to Lorain and attended the 34th Annual Founders Day Award Luncheon hosted by the Lorain Club of the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Club. And on behalf of the board, I gave a certificate to the Sojourner Truth winner, and I made brief comments, and they were that someone else has said it, but it's so true. Never forget what a small group of committed individuals can accomplish. And these ladies are very busy throughout the year, but they give scholarships as well, and they've done a great job. So I was pleased to be there. And then yesterday, 4 of our county officials traveled to the 4th annual All Aboard Ohio Conference in Columbus, and this was their 4th annual and the largest attendance that they've had so far. There were 6 various speakers that were there. The most notable, of course, was Lee Fisher, head of the Ohio Department of Development, also Lieutenant Governor. And he said that transportation, the Ohio Department of Development, and education are all linked together, and he suggested that we diversify our economic development portfolio. Another very interesting speaker was Frank Busalachi. I'm murdering his name, but he is the secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and he was also on the National Surface Transportation Policy and Revenue Study Commission. He was appointed by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and I think that he reiterated that they worked on this committee for over 2 years, and they went to at least 10 different locations and had public hearings, etc. And they have made their findings, which were voted on by the committee, and I believe the vote was like 9 in favor and 3 against, to the administration, but they don't want to hear it because it might involve increasing revenues, which to this present administration in Washington they won't consider. But he made the comment that interstate rail binds us all together. There were some interesting comments about rail generally. Of course, you know that the Ohio Rail Development Commission has a plan for the Ohio Hub program, and I think they found some willing listeners in Governor Strickland and Lieutenant Governor Fisher. So I think the trip was well worth it. It was a good program, and I hope that something more comes out of it than just listening. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Board correspondence?
I move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Public comment?
Anyone wishing to address the board? No takers? I'll move we go into executive session for the purposes outlined by the administrator and the assistant county prosecutor.
Second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good
No dog
afternoon.
today?
I forgot the dog. We usually begin our meetings with a dog that we allow you to adopt. If you don't adopt it, we give it to you anyway. This is a special meeting on April 29th for the purpose of some workforce development issues. So, Mr. Cordes?
Thank you, Madam President, and I appreciate the board scheduling a special meeting to allow Lorain County to maximize our ability to enhance incumbent workers to incumbent worker dollars. As you know, things have changed with regard to wage matching, which was a great inducement for these companies to participate. And as of Thursday morning, we won't be able to do that, at least temporarily. Just to let you know, we have weighed in very heavily with letters to the state seeking them to submit to the federal government for a waiver, and we're also contacting our legislative folks in Washington for a push downward while we're pushing from the bottom up. I don't know that we're going to be very successful, but we're making it known how much the program is progressing. Also, as an update to Project 10, this morning I was in communication with the college, and the good work that's being done by Project 10 has reached all the way to Lee Fisher, and he has asked to see our program and all the materials for our program with regards to the new initiatives from the state with workforce development and how to more seamlessly run them parallel with economic development issues. So we'll be sending off a large amount of information to Lee Fisher's office, and once again, Lorain County is having an impact on what they're thinking about doing statewide from our program that we grew over the last year or two right here in Lorain County. With that, I would ask Don to come to the podium and present these two companies, and hopefully you'll find them worthy of funding this morning.
Good afternoon. We do have two companies that we've worked very diligently with to get them in under the gun with the deadline that we had to face. And I'm proud to say both came away on the ball every step of the way that we needed the information. They got it to us lickety-split to make this happen. So who we have present today is Shiloh Industries from Wellington, represented by John and Michelle, and I'll have you come up in a minute to make some comments. And Diamond Products from Elyria. And we've got gentlemen, Roy and Dave. Thank you, Dave. I'm sorry. I was extremely rushed today in getting over here to make sure I had all the information ready to go. Diamond Products is looking to request a grant in the amount of $30,000 for a variety of training. They're looking to do management training and computer training to make their line supervisors, team leaders, and management staff much more effective in the way that they handle issues both on the floor and within the ranks throughout the entire company, as well as advance the computer skills of said individuals to help make information flow much more seamless throughout the entire company. Shiloh Industries is requesting a grant in the amount of $19,500 for training. And they're also looking to do a section of management training for their employees and management staff, as well as some safety training in regards to an OSHA 10-hour training course. And so with that, I'd like to start by having the two companies come up to tell you a little bit more about why they're looking to do the training that they're doing, and just to talk in general about their experience so far with the program. So if I could have Shiloh first.
Welcome, John Lesher.
Thank you, Betty. Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. First of all, we couldn't have done that without any of this without this guy behind us. I mean, getting through this paperwork was something. Then he comes up and says, oh, by the way, and we really have to step it up, so appreciate his help. Shiloh, I've been there about a year. I spent 32 years on 15th Street here on Mussey Avenue. Shiloh is 60% automotive. We're trying to get out of that business a little bit. And to show you that little bit, this morning I looked at the board. Last month we made 625,000 lawnmower blades. So we have snatched two machines from 130th Street in Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, and brought them into Lorain County and placed 25 extra people. I started there last May. In June, the head count was 167. Year to date, it's 242. It's about a 42% improvement, so we're going ahead. In addition, we have this part called FLICA, front lower control arm assembly. If you look up underneath your car, we all have one of these. We're running these things 24/7. And because of the influx of business, we've been hurrying up, hiring people, getting them on board, and we need the training to progress into those, especially with OSHA. We have a full-time staff, health, safety, environmental engineer, but the time that we've spent hiring people have been lax in the training. So we need to push that forward. And when the people from Project 10, Phil Makita and that group came out to see me, I just jumped on it. So we scored off 7 areas, I think it was, finance for 9 non-financial managers to get the newer supervisors on board of what does it take to run a company. It's not just your little department, it's everything, and we want to create that.
I don't know if you have any other questions. We're doing quite well. Shiloh as itself is a little bit slow right now because of the automotive strike with General Motors, the axle. That hasn't hit our facility in Lorain County and Wellington. Should Lordstown get hit, we're going to get hit bad. You know, it trickles downhill. But we're doing extremely well. Looking for 4 more people as I'm standing here. We're always hiring people. It's not a hard job to find people in Lorain County because of the depressed economy. But we are finding, just for your information, I'm finding as we hire people that more and more people are coming in from the locality around Wellington. We're doing very well there because of the gas price. They don't want to come from Brooklyn or Parma or anything like that. A lot of the people that lost their jobs on 130th Street, they can't make it for our wages and drive the distance because of the gas. So that's entering into the whole hiring possibility. So we're hiring very locally. I've advertised in the Wellington Enterprise, and it's been very successful. The other thing that's really helped us out is the annex that Lorain Community College has put in not far from us. Big improvement. It's always filled. We've gone out there and had career days. Matter of fact, we just went to one last Wednesday out at the college. Out of that, we hired 3 employees. So Lorain County's moving ahead. This grant is very crucial to us. Quite frankly, I don't know where we'd be without it because, like I said, Shiloh as a whole economically isn't doing that well right now because of the strike. So they put the whammy on me as far as spending and said only necessary spending. However, when we can show them that we could get $19,000 here, yeah, go ahead and open it up. So we jumped on it from the very beginning. So your appreciation would be very helpful. You have any questions about Shiloh or anything that we can?
Oh, nice to know you're doing well. Nice to know the program works. I mean, prior to me being in office, John, I sort of like spearheaded this. All these millions of dollars sitting in Columbus, we had no way to access them. So
yeah,
the team put together a heck of a project with the project.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and that happens a lot. We understand that. I've also been working with Steve Morey, and
sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things like that, and especially have a couple holds in the village of Grafton. So we're working along those ends too. Matter of fact, just a short story. As we went to that job fair last week, one of the young ladies was giving us her profile, and she's in public administration major. And I got this brainstorm because we're into this DART program in the village, and hopefully she's going to come on board this summer as a intern to help us fill out those paperwork. So we have another Don out there, which people like this are just invaluable. We could not have done it, so whatever it takes on your part to get things like this moving, we couldn't have done this by ourselves. There just isn't enough hours in the day, and we don't have the talent. So that's the key behind all this. I mean, when he calls and says we have to fill this out, I say, hey, you have to show us how. So he spent a lot of time with us. So I appreciate that help too.
Thank you very much, John.
Well, thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate your
thanks for
comments. Glad to hear that you're working at Shiloh.
You're not going to speak, Shelley?
I could add a few things that John forgot about National Gypsum.
Step up.
Come on down.
15 minutes of fame. You can tell your dad I said hello.
One thing that John forgot is that, you know, that the National Gypsum facility in Lorain is closing, and we're trying to stay within the county to bring people into our facility. We've interviewed 2 or 3 people from that division to possibly come work for us. So we are talking with the people there to try and bring them and keep them employed, food on the table, and in the community. So.
The displaced worker program, are we got that up and running yet?
Well, I would encourage you, and Vivian's here, our Director of Workforce Development, and Vivian works hand in hand with Don, and Vivian's done a yeoman's job for us also with this program. But Vivian can put you in touch with the folks at our One Stop. We do know who's being displaced. We are proactively working with National Gypsum on placement services and retraining services for those unfortunate employees that are going to be displaced.
We do work with them, yes, we do.
You do work with the One Stop now?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yes.
That's the way the system's supposed to work.
We want to keep it in the county.
A lot of times people we don't have that full of engagement from all the business, so it's wonderful to hear that it's working
Yes.
for you.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Tell Rattler and your mom I said hello.
I will.
And now I'm going to correct the earlier mistake and ask Dave Lanzi to come up and speak on behalf of Diamond Products. And Roy, if you want to join him. Entirely up to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here today. I again wanted to thank Don and Vivian for all of their assistance in this program. Without their help, it wouldn't have been possible to be at this point today. Share a little bit about Diamond Products. We've been here in Elyria for 44 years. As a company, we've experienced tremendous growth throughout the years. We currently have about 340 total employees, 288 based in the Elyria area. Our corporate headquarters is right over here on Prospect Street. We then have another facility on Taylor Street, a warehouse facility on Broad Street, and that we just purchased. It was formerly a leased property for us, and an additional facility over on Taylor Street as well. Our goal for this project, when we first started, our supervisor base, we have promoted heavily from within as our company has grown. Every one of our production supervisors started on the shop floor at one time. It's been great from a standpoint where the knowledge they have of the production process has continued to grow as we've grown as a company, but it's also given us a challenge with some of the management skills that our supervisors possess. They are very good welders, brazers, painters, but a lot of the HR issues that they face on a daily basis, employee relations issues, they struggle with some of those. So we thought by putting together this project, when we first heard about it, would give our supervisors the knowledge they need to handle those face-to-face situations on a daily basis and prevent some of the issues that come to HR that probably shouldn't get there. They should be handled before that point. The main focus from the management side will be first-time supervisors, peer today, boss tomorrow, the legal side of management, resolving conflict within your team, generations in the workplace, and building supervision skills. The second component of the training will be computer skills. Basic Word, intermediate Word, basic Excel, and then intermediate and advanced Excel for some of our supervisors that have the basic knowledge.
Something I want to read from your proposal that caught my attention when I was reviewing these yesterday. And we always ask what some of the effective outcomes are sought to be produced with the collaboration. And one of the things you wrote here, it says, increase the pool of internal hiring candidates for future supervisory openings and promotion opportunities while reducing the need for outside hiring to fill these roles within our company. At least one employer-related outcome, example, lowers employees' turnover, increases the profitability of the business, enhances the competitiveness of the business. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is all about. And one of the areas that has been a bit of a wick problem for us is creating new opportunities at entry level for students, recently graduated students, or students that choose not to go on into higher education or are looking for that first job to start building their career track. Well, we don't move people up. We can't move people in. And that focus is one of the priorities of the incumbent worker training, is to make those employees more productive for you so that you can elevate their standard of living by elevating them through the ranks of your organization, and then create opportunity for new people to come in and start working on their career ladder at the same time. There's very few programs out there that address that continuum of learning that enhances them as employees to continue to improve their quality of life and their earning potential. So, I mean, I just wanted to read that because that caught my attention out of their packet.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Roy, do you have anything you want to add? Roy Varga is my former neighbor for many years.
You ran him out of town, huh?
He moved.
I wonder why.
He got married.
Oh.
I want to thank you again for the opportunity we have here. I want you to really understand that Diamond Products, we have some hardworking individuals, and they're mostly from this county. And by having that and having the growth that Dave alluded to, it's hard for us to get sometimes upper management to say, stop, let's start managing better. Let's just work harder, work harder. And we all know that nowadays you have to work a little smarter sometimes instead of harder to stay ahead of the competition. This is a real advantage for us to have some dollars that aren't ours that we'll be able to use to do the things that we need to do to stay competitive, to stay in Elyria. I know our CEO is real proud of the fact that we're in Elyria. It's a good area. We do a lot of shipping out of here to all parts of the world. The airport's 20 minutes away, so it's easy for us to get to the airport and back. But I just want to really just reiterate that we work hard here at Diamond Products, and we have grown from the inside. We have people who have been there so long. We're looking at some retirements coming up, and we're not real happy about that. So we need some education on some of our management skills so we can retain the people that we have and grow from the inside up. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
A couple closing comments, Commissioners. For those that don't know, and since we are being taped, a lot of this effort with Project 10 would not have been able to see the light of day if it wasn't through the Growth Partnership. And the Growth Partnership has opened our opportunities to collaborative efforts between the college, the JVS, the county, workforce development, the WIB board, the chamber, and the list goes on. There was a time when we all talked about these collaborative efforts, but we weren't able to really get any rubber on the road. I know I'm always touting the Lorain County Growth Partnership, but we deal with these issues through the Growth Partnership, and that's another initiative that this board made a priority a few years ago, and Project 10 is an outcome, while it stands on its own, but it is definitely an outcome of the cooperative efforts that are being done through the Growth Partnership. Don is an employee of the Workforce Institute, which is paid from the One Stop, which gets its funding from the Workforce Development Agency, which gets its funding from the Lorain County Board of Commissioners, and Don is supervised jointly by Vivian over at the Workforce Development Agency. You can see the way we've started putting these circles of funding mechanisms and supervisory mechanisms together so we can maximize all the resources that are available to us. I'm not embarrassed to tell you that 3 or 4 years ago, we could not have cooperated and done this. We just weren't able to do it, and we are able to do it today. And I'm sorry that the media is not here again. Once again, you heard some wonderful comments today, and I wish the media would pick up a little bit more fully on what these businesses are doing in Lorain County and what it means to them to have these type of programs, and stop just reporting on the negativity, because we just heard some great comments about local companies making it happen here for local residents and providing jobs and opportunities, and we too much focus on the negatives and not on those positives. But I appreciate your support, and hopefully we're going to be reporting more successes to you as the summer goes on.
Don, you have concluding remarks?
Well, in closing, just to wrap up what Mr. Cortez was saying, right now everything is going very well with the program. We were hoping to have a couple more than the 2 that we have here for your review today. However, Diamond and Shiloh were of paramount importance because of the wage match piece and getting in before the deadline. So they received the bulk of our time. And as a matter of fact, John and I spent, 2.5 hours on Friday making sure we got everything done and in order to have ready for today. So we will have several more applications before you as the summer begins and progresses. Happy to say that we are getting near the end of our first round of funding for Project 10. I don't remember the exact total, Vivian, that we worked out the other day, but I believe with the approval of these 2, we'll probably be down somewhere around the $50,000, $60,000 range left in the pot of funds, which is outstanding to say that we've found plenty of companies to utilize those dollars. We have several more lined up that will probably end up completing that use of funds.
We started out with 380? 318,000. Okay, so effectively we put approximately $260,000 to work churning in the community, which is being matched by the companies, and some of the matches are greater than 50%, so you got about $500,000 worth of training going on in some of the local companies, and that's significant. Another benefit is that we do, and Don and Vivian are always at our leadership team meetings, we do try real hard to use the locally taxpayer-supported organizations, JVS, college, local training organizations, so that the dollars stay right here within Lorain County and it's more cost-effective. So, that's that to keep the circle. The circle keeps going round and round and round. So
well, that means we expended about 80% of the dollars we were allowed in first year, right?
That's correct.
Now, we're not going to we're not going to lose any dollars because those dollars are rolling over, correct, Vivian?
So and then, our new funding comes out July 1.
Okay.
So then we
spend the old dollars first, and
well, we send down to the state that we're requesting to pull money out of the adult workers funding, and then that's what gets transferred to the income.
Beautiful.
And just to touch on a point that Jim had made previously as well as one of the other hearings, when we look at the total amount of training, just to give you an idea, Looking at, for example, Shiloh, their total cost of the training is around $42,000 that they're looking to spend in total. So, the 19.5 that they're requesting is really a drop in the bucket with what they're looking to do. And the same can be told for Diamond Products as well. Their total training cost is near $108,000 that they're looking to expend. So the $30,000 they're requesting is a fraction of that, but it's the investment in those employees and the cost of pulling those employees off the floor, which is what makes the wage match piece so critical to our program and has made it so successful to this point here today.
Very good, thank you all. I move for approval of the contracts as outlined.
Second.
Anything further? Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
I don't see any public here who might like to speak since you've all had a chance, so I'll move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you again
you.
for coming. Unsightly litter is often the result of well-intentioned people like you and me being careless at the curb, around business areas, and at work sites. Lucky the Ladybug, Ohio's first lady of litter prevention, says nobody wants to live or work around trash. Litter lowers property values and it's costly to clean up.
Keep Lorain County beautiful. Put the lid on trash.
Pedestrian injuries represent the second largest number in motor-related deaths. In the current report by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, of the 812 traffic fatalities for children ages 5 to 9, almost 1/3, that's 254, were pedestrian fatalities. These numbers were just very staggering to me in this office. Most of these were from pedestrian crossings, children not educated in crossing streets where there are sidewalks and obviously stoplights, or where there are no sidewalks and there are stop signs. So basically, it was based on the fact that they aren't getting proper education, or they hadn't any education on how to cross streets with sidewalks or without sidewalks. So that's what really got us motivated to look into this and do something about it.
County Engineer's Office is quite proud to announce that the Safe Routes to School program has been initiated throughout Lorain County. We're very excited about this. To help these children from grades K to 4, teaching them to walk the streets safely is very important to us. We've seen statistics that quite frankly shock us. Many times we read and see stories of pedestrians being hit by automobiles in Lorain County, and it just tears my heart to see these children from K to 4 part of that. This program is to stop that, to help diminish those type of situations and educate these children on crossing the street safely. And we're quite happy to announce that.
Most of our workshop was developed and made in-house. Simulated sidewalks, simulated streets. We have actual working stoplights. We have the pedestrian crossing signs that actually work. We have operational railroad crossings. We also have the regular road signs like your pedestrian crossing, your stop sign, your railroad sign. So we have all of these different things that the children can not only visualize, but then we actually interact the children in those situations so they can not only see, but they can use these in their learning abilities on how to cross the streets with and without sidewalks. We've had so many good responses back from the children, and of course it's just like anything else with children. When you ask for volunteers, when you're talking in a group of 60 and you can only have 8,
it's amazing at the hands that go up. You know, does anybody want to volunteer? Well, everybody wants to volunteer. We make them go over these skills that we're trying to teach them, not only the volunteers, but the group as a whole. So basically we have the whole class interacting. So if they say left, right, left, behind you, in front of you once, they say it at least 8 or 10 times before the workshop is over. So we've had many teachers and many principals tell us, and we even had one child that came up to us and said, you know what, Miss Spansky, we were going to cross the street the other day and we remembered, look left, look right, look left. So that was very rewarding. And so I think the repetition, the interaction with the children and with the items in our workshop is very important to them and to us. Before you even go into the safety part of it, they're in awe over the traffic light, and then our railroad crossing signals actually work. So they're just like, oh, ooh. And we get up there and we tell them, and we even give them some trick questions. You know, we'll say, well, we can see that train all the way down the track. Do you think we can make it, because you're fast and I'm fast and we can run? And of course they're very enthusiastic and no, we shouldn't do this. So we teach them that in some urban areas you will not have the gates that come down to keep you actually from crossing, that you may just have 2 sets of tracks, and just because one goes by and the signals stop doesn't mean that another one can't come from the other direction. So we tell them it's very, very imperative that they stay back from the tracks and they wait till those signals stop and to look both ways. And even once those signals stop, to look both ways, and they should never run across the railroad tracks. They should walk and continue to look both ways, because it's not safe and they could fall, they could injure themselves. If they're alone, if they're not with someone, it could be very dangerous, because not only could they injure themselves, they may not have help if there is a train coming, because they are so small. And as you know, some of those tracks are very large, and you're talking in kindergarten through 4th grade, some of those children are very small children. The main thing is that we tell them that only you know when it's safe. You have to make that ultimate decision. So make sure that you know that it's safe before you cross those railroad tracks or a street. One of the other things that we cover in the safety workshop, and it's also repeated in our video, children don't have that perception of the miles per hour. It's very dangerous. And the same thing with trains. We tell them that train could take, you know, forever. It's way down there, but we don't know the actual miles per hour. We decided to use 2 different videos. The first one is geared for kindergarten and 1st grade, and that is Otto the Otto, put out by AAA.
Hi, kids. A lot of times you have to walk to get to places. And when you're walking, you have to be especially careful of cars and bicycles. Oh no, those kids are walking the wrong way. That's dangerous. I'm going to talk with these kids. Down at the clubhouse, they're talking about the safe way to walk on streets without sidewalks.
I say you can walk across the street anywhere you want, as long as you look first. And don't get squished flat by a car. That's a fairly simple way of looking at safety. There are actual rules and laws for walking. Yeah, but the most important one is you don't get squished flat. Who's right, Maggie? Patrick or us?
I guess in a sense, everyone's right. The main idea is to get there safely, but there are some rules to help you get there safely, like don't run out into the street without looking.
The second video, we show 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, and it is put together by the National Safety Council along with Honda, and they developed the first humanoid robot.
Hey, Osmo. What's up, Osmo? How's it going? Osmo, this is Michael. Michael, this is Osmo.
How come you dressed in a robot suit? It's not a suit. I'm a real robot. My name, Osimo, stands for Advanced Step in Innovative Mobility. I'm the world's most advanced humanoid robot. I can walk forwards, backwards, and even climb stairs just like a human. So, what's the first rule about crossing the street?
Stopping at curbs.
Correct. First, always stop at the curb. Then make sure no cars are coming. You want to look left.
It's clear.
Then right to see if any cars are coming from the other direction.
That's clear too.
Cars move fast. There might already be a new car to the left. So look left again.
Car coming.
See what I mean?
Okay, he's gone.
Kids love this. They relate to Osimo as well as the younger children relate to Otto, who is an animated automobile. And he tells them about crossing streets. Osimo does the same thing, and he actually goes through with the children and tells them how to cross the street at an intersection with a traffic light, with a pedestrian crossing. He also teaches them how to cross because a lot of children at schools have parked cars. He goes over the issues of how to cross when there are parked cars. So he does a number of different things, how to cross the street when there are no sidewalks. So they both cover the basic skills. One is just geared a little bit more for the different age groups. Our response has been amazing, not only from the children. We have received numerous cards. I have a whole box of thank yous from children from the schools where we have that have participated in our workshop. We've had nothing but a positive response back throughout the communities that we visited this year.
I think it was really nice because they had a real life robot talk to you about safety, and you got to actually do what he said was safe. He said when there are parked cars to make sure there are no drivers in before you cross the street.
I saw that we could know what to do when there's like cars coming, not to go in the middle of the road so you don't get hurt. You have to look left, right, left, behind the shoulder, and then straight. If they don't know how to stop at sidewalks, then I'll tell them how to. If they don't know how to cross without sidewalks, then I'll tell them how to do that too, because that's what we learned. I think that it was good because I didn't know that you had to look 5 ways, which were left, right, left, and going over your shoulder, and then ahead of you. I thought that crossing the road was really good for little kids if they don't know what to do by crossing the road.
It's a good idea because, like I said, the kids could walk through the whole process of crossing streets with the crosswalk, without a crosswalk, at the intersection. What happens if you're crossing in between 2 parked cars? Those are things that parents don't teach their kids. They go to Safety Town and they learn left, look right, look left again, and they go. And even my own son, who's a kindergartner, he just did Safety Town, and I still catch him flying across the street. And all I have to do is say, Matthew, remember Osimo? And he stops and he thinks and he does all the steps that he was taught in the video.
It was a great refresher, especially for them, now knowing, what to do and kind of even additional things that they may not have been told or considered before.
Most of the kids did their little safety program back when they were getting ready to go to kindergarten. They start out learning all those safety rules. Then as time goes on, if you don't reinforce those safety rules and keep telling them, just like we do as adults, we think we're safe. We don't have to follow those rules anymore. We can do what we want. We can take a chance and run across the road. And I think this program was very good at reinforcing the fact that even though we're growing up, we still have to be careful. We still have to follow the signs. We still have to follow the railroad crossings, especially around here in Amherst. We tend to have a little trouble with the railroad crossings and kids wanting to play on them. So I think it was a good review. I think it was done in a fun, learning way, and the kids really enjoyed it. We were very happy to have everyone here at St. Joseph's School.
If it saves one life, we feel like we've made a contribution. It's our way to give back to the communities.
How you doing there? Here, have a treat, okay? No one can deny the loving devotion we get from our dogs, and I think we all agree we get back more love than we give them. I'm Dick Goddard. I'm reminding you, if you share your love with a dog, you'll never regret it. There's really nothing like a dog to spark up your life, whether you're a youngster, a senior citizen, or somewhere in between. And dogs have a whole lot of affection to share. Okay, is that good? You don't have to go far to hear heartwarming adoption stories.
With my husband is like saying man's best friend. He truly loves that dog. He feels it's part human. It's his second daughter, as Erica said. It's definitely a prize. She's queen of the house, basically. She's a good lover. She gives us a lot of attention. She's a good girl.
We had a cat before we had Abby, and Abby adapted very well. She is best friends with that cat. She will not harm that cat in any way. She's amazing. I love her. When I'm in bed at night, Abby will jump up with me and she will pull the covers back and she will lay under the covers and lay her head on the pillow just like a human.
I encourage anyone to go to the Lorain County Kennel to adopt a dog. It's given our family great satisfaction and a great reward.
After, a bad day at work or anytime you come home, it's just always nice. They kind of turn your mood around when you come in the door, and they wagging their tails and jumping on you, and it's a great feeling to know that they're happy to see you and that they love you just as much as you love them. She is good with our other dog. She's good with people. She likes attention, and she likes to cuddle up with you.
It's funny when Lily, when you kind of discipline her sometimes when she does something bad, or she always seems to roll on her back and put her paws in the air and just look up at you with this sad look. So it's kind of hard to even get mad at her when she does something like that. So we kind of laugh at that.
And it's always amusing when she does get a spurt of energy and want to run around, and we're always like, oh my gosh, Lily's going to play now.
Yeah,
so
like sometimes, when I'm on the couch or whatever, and she'll hop down, and she always tries to bite her own tail, and then that kind of keys on our other dog, Rocky, to chime in and try to, bite at her tail a little bit, and then they start playing around a little bit.
One day we came home with some food from, I just really wanted a burger. So we had a burger, and I had it sitting on the tray table by the couch, and I got up for a minute and got a drink, came back, and Lily was licking her lips. She had eaten the whole thing, and I was not very happy with her. So I screamed and told Kurt to come down and get her away from me because I was just so upset. But we both lived, and I was fine afterwards. One of the best things about adopting a dog from the kennel, at least for us, was, again, just giving this dog, who knows what would have happened to her, a new life, and also giving our other dog a companion during the day. It's just fun to have the two dogs and take them for walks and watch them play, and it brought us closer as well.
It just makes you feel better as a person, that, you know, you're giving a dog a better chance to live a life.
Actually, I enjoy the exercise because I need to, trying to lose weight. Salem makes me get out of the house every day. And so I have to take him for a walk, even if I don't want to. And he's not that much trouble because he was pretty much housebroken when I got him from the pound. I really like the older pet because Salem was kind of, whoever had him before, they really kind of housebroken. So I didn't really have to go through the potty training deal. I just had to let him out and find a place for him to go. And I think older pets, especially for people who don't have children, are kind of good because Salem, he's real playful, but he's not, he gets tired and he lays down and he doesn't want to be bothered, and that's fine with me. So he's not always wanting to play, you know, because puppies have a lot of energy. And Salem has quite a bit of energy, but sometimes he just lays on his pillow and he's like, don't bother me, I won't bother you. And sometimes when he wants to play, he wants to play, and that's okay. I got Salem at the Lorain County Dog Pound. I found him on the internet, actually. They had his picture on the internet, and so I called and he was still there, and so I immediately went over and looked at him. We went outside and played, and he jumped in the car and wouldn't get out, and there we were. So we were on our way home. So it was love at first sight. He's a very good companion. I can always depend on him to be here and greet me with, you know, open arms when I come in the door. He's very protective of me, and he lets me know when anyone is outside or in the driveway. So I feel safe with Salem. You know, even though he's a small dog, he gives me a safe feeling just in my own home. If I'm having a bad day sometimes and I'm just not in a real good mood, you know, he'll come up and snuggle up to me like, hey Mom, it's okay. I think other people should adopt a pet, and even an older dog. The Lorain County Pound has so many wonderful dogs. All you have to do is go over there and look. I mean, even now, I still go on the website and I tell Salem, don't you want a little brother or sister? Because they have all these little cute dogs over there, and they all need good homes. And if you're looking to adopt a pet, I suggest you try the Lorain County Dog Pound first. I mean, you pay for the license and just a nominal fee, and you got a great dog and a great companion and somebody that's going to be in your life for the rest of your life, and they'll love you no matter what.
Hello, my fellow commissioners and I are here at the Lorain County Dog Kennel on Hadaway Street, just south of Elyria City Discount, Value City. We invite you to stop out and see the facility here. We have lots of dogs available for adoption. We also encourage all dog owners to register your dog each year and get a dog license. That's your dog's ticket home in case it gets lost. It has a number and can easily be identified so that your dog can be returned to you in case he or she might take a little walk and you are unaware of it.
Along with the regular licensing that the county requires for all dogs, we also have a special dog license. It's a special heart medical care license tag for an additional $5. And the proceeds from that go to help us when we pick up a stray that's injured, hurt, or needs extreme medical care. It helps defer the cost for us. So next time you get your dog license, please pick up the special heart tag.
The Lorain County Commissioners would like to welcome you to come down to the Lorain County Dog Kennel. We also have a website that you can check out. Just click on Dogs to Adopt. There's plenty of dogs to choose from. It's like this little girl right here. This is Sadie. You can come down, make sure it's a good match for you, take the dog out, take it for a walk. But please, if you're thinking about adopting a dog, come out to the Lorain County Dog Kennel and see if there's a match for you.
Give the Lorain County Dog Kennel a call or check their website for photos of currently available dogs. Remember, your best friend is just waiting for you.
In 1787, the Continental Congress organized the lands from the Ohio River to the Mississippi into the Northwest Territories. In 1803, the first of these territories to become a state was Ohio. Ohio was in turn divided into various land grants, including the Connecticut Western Reserve in the northeast corner of the state. The Western Reserve included the area that is today Lorain County. As Ohio gradually increased its counties to the present 88, the land we know as Lorain County went through several changes. Until 1810, the area was split between Geauga and Portage counties. When the area was being organized into Lorain County in 1822, it was created out of land from Huron, Cuyahoga, and Medina counties. At the time of its birth, Lorain County included Olmsted Township, now in Cuyahoga County, Spencer and Homer Townships, now in Medina County, and Troy and Sullivan Townships, now in Ashland County. This map illustrates the county as it appeared at the time of Ohio's centennial, and although some of the townships have been absorbed by incorporation, it also represents the shape of Lorain County today. Let's take a brief historical look at each of Lorain County's 21 townships. In 1807, the Calvin Hoadley and Herman Bronson families of Waterbury, Connecticut, began the settlement of Columbia. After a 3-month trek, the pioneers arrived in their new homeland in time to celebrate Christmas. The Bronsons, including their 7-month-old son, began that winter sheltered by their overturned bobsled wagon, converted into a frontier lean-to. The mouth of the Black River also saw the beginning of its first settlement in 1807, when Azariah Beebe established a trading post for Nathan Perry. This area, which 20 years earlier had seen a short-lived Moravian mission, would gradually grow into the village of Charleston in the township called Black River. Years later, this township would be removed from county maps because of the incorporation of the city of Lorain. Charleston adopted the county's name of Lorain when the city was incorporated in 1874. The dramatic growth of the city was spurred on by the expanding fishing and shipbuilding industries. In 1894, when Tom Johnson brought his steel mill to town, Lorain's destiny to be the county's largest city was assured. In 1813, the township of Ridgeville was officially organized. 3 years earlier, members of the Beebe, Terrell, and Root families had established this new settlement they called Rootstown. The change to Ridgeville was decided upon to indicate the sand ridges that passed through the area and provided transportation routes and fertile farmland. The area around the intersection of Butternut Ridge and Roots Road, first called Briggs Corner, was by 1880 known as Fields Corners and was the site of the town's water well. With the growth of the city of North Ridgeville, the township of Ridgeville was incorporated out of existence. In 1810, Silas Wilmot, along with Asa and Ira Morgan, erected a cabin on Butternut Ridge, and the community later called Eaton Township was begun. Wilmot married Chloe Hubbard of Ashtabula, and they were given the cabin, thereby becoming the township's pioneering couple. When Ridgeville Township was organized in 1813, it included Eaton, which was at that time called Holbrook. While the area was still a part of Cuyahoga County, the township of Eaton was separated from Ridgeville. Its first officers were elected in 1823, while the township was in transition to the new Lorain County. Amherst's township's founding can be traced to one Jacob Shoup. After first settling on the Black River, he moved in 1811 to the Beaver Creek. By 1815, he had erected a grist mill and the area's first distillery. Whiskeyville, today the intersection of Routes 58 and 113, earned its nickname as a center for the production of this important pioneer commodity. As the primary community of the township developed at the Old Spring, it came to be known as Amherst Corners. By 1836, the name Amherstville was recorded in the county offices, and in 1873, the town was incorporated as North Amherst. In 1909, the U.S. Postal Service had to choose between the villages of North and South Amherst. They chose the former, which then became the official and present-day Amherst. In 1917, in the northeast corner of the county, the township of Avon became another of Lorain County's 21 townships to vanish due to city incorporation. In 1814, Wilbur Cahoon had arrived from Montgomery County, New York, to become the first to settle in what was then Troy Township of Cuyahoga County. The farming community grew around its power source, the French Creek. Development along the interurban line would incorporate the northern part of the township into the city of Avon Lake in 1911, with the remainder of the township becoming the village of Avon in 1917. It was families such as the Burrell, Day, and Roots who established themselves in the Sheffield area in 1815 and 16. The township of Sheffield would not actually be created until 1824, when the newly elected Lorain County Commissioners made the township one of the first acts of their administration. The land had been primarily in Cuyahoga County prior to the 1822 reorganization. The southwest corner of the township was in Huron County and is today the only place to find a small section still called Sheffield Township. The remainder of the area has been incorporated, like its neighbor Avon, with the north becoming Sheffield Lake and the south the village of Sheffield. In 1816, Colonel Henry Brown of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, purchased a large tract of land known as Number 6, Range 19. Mr. Brown would later name the township after himself by simply adding Helm to his family name. Like the old Saxon Ham, the suffix meant home. The Deacon Shepherd family were the first settlers when they arrived on July 4, 1817. The village of Brownhelm Mills, located in Benjamin Bacon's Mill Hollow, was one of 3 communities to develop. Bacon's Corners, or the center, was 3 miles east of the hollow, while just west of the hollow was Rugby, where stores, a church, a school, and the post office were located. The first settlers to the Grafton Township area were Jonathan and Grendall Rawson in 1816. 10 years later, the Rawsons were forced to build a grist mill, or forfeit their land under their original agreement with the Western Reserve Land Company. Railroads and quarries were the greatest influence on the growth of the village the locals called Rawsonville. The quarrying industry in particular was responsible for the influx of French-Canadian, Welsh, Irish, Polish, and German immigrants. In 1877, when the village was being incorporated, the name Rawsonville was dropped in favor of the railroad station name of Grafton. Originally a part of Elyria Township, Carlisle was settled in 1816 by John Bacon of Windham County, Vermont. When the new Lorain County was being organized in 1822, Carlisle Township became its own entity. LaPorte developed as the township village with Phineas Johnson as the first postmaster and hotel owner. In 1840, Anson Brayman's Carlisle Nursery became the first of its kind in Lorain County. Quarrying was another important industry of the township, as the sandstone blocks were used for city buildings as far away as Toronto. Founding father Heman Ely owned over 10,000 acres of the land that would be developed into the township of Elyria, and the city, which also bears his family name. In 1817, Artemus Beebe headed a work crew that came to establish a new village at the Y of the Black River branches. Mills were constructed and the main street cleared. Beebe's crew also erected a home for Mr. Ely at Broad and East Bridge Streets, and a home for himself across the street, which became the Beebe Tavern. Both structures avoided demolition until well into the 20th century. In 1822, Mr. Ely spearheaded the movement to create Lorain County. He donated the land for the county courthouse, thus influencing the choice of Elyria as the county seat. Mr. Ely's little village would develop into a city with a varied industrial base as well as the center of government for Lorain County. Simon Durand came to America as an interpreter for Revolutionary War hero French General Lafayette. Durand remained in the new nation and in the winter of 1817 moved from New York State to the 160 acres he had purchased south of Brownhelm. 10 years later, the population of the area was enough to support the formation of a new township. With the southern portion ceded to Brighton and the northern portion annexed from Brownhelm, the township of Henrietta was created in 1827. Although New England families represented the majority of settlers to the area in 1818, one of the pioneers was William Welling of Montgomery County, New York. History is not clear if the community was named in honor of Welling or for the famous English Duke of Wellington, hero of Europe's recent Napoleonic Wars. With the coming of the railroad, Wellington grew into an agricultural marketplace, and in fact was the nation's leader in cheese production from 1870 to 1900. The county fair, now located in Wellington, helps to continue the depiction of small-town America shown in native son Archibald Willard's famous painting, The Spirit of '76. In 1818, Joseph Sage and the family of his son-in-law, John Laborie, journeyed through a severe winter from Connecticut to their new homestead in Huntington Township. More pioneering families came to the area, and by 1822, the population was such that the Medina County Commissioners incorporated the township using the Huntington, Connecticut hometown of many of the settlers as its new name. Lumber, grain, and cheese dominated the local economy. In 1824, when Lorain County came into full operation, Huntington was transferred from Medina County. The citizens of Old Russia Township, that had been first settled in 1818, requested detachment from Black River Township in 1825. The town and college of Oberlin were founded in 1833 and would grow to dominate the area. The Oberlin concept combined a Christian community and a Christian coeducational institute. Through the influence of founders John Shippard and Philo Stewart, New York businessman Arthur Tappan, and noted evangelist Charles Finney, the college would become not only co-ed, but also multiracial and the nation's leader in the abolitionist movement. The independent spirit that created the first Russia Township was evident once again in 1992, as New Russia Township detached itself from Oberlin. In 1820, the Peter Penfield family began the permanent settlement of the area he had first selected in the fall of 1818. Penfield Township's organizational election was held in April of 1825. The first religious service was held in 1826, and the first school was in session in the summer of 1829. The township's first post office put the emphasis on post and not the office. As the Penfields lived well off the established mail route, a hollow tree near the river was used by the local residents for sending and receiving the mail. The township, with its fertile soil, grew into a part of Lorain County's rich agricultural heritage. In the fall of 1820, Abner Loveland Jr. became the first permanent settler of Brighton. Within a year, the families of Joseph Kingsbury and Abner Loveland Sr. had arrived, and the new community began to grow. With elections held in the spring of 1823, Brighton Township was being organized at the same time the area was being transferred from Medina to Lorain County. Like much of the new county, Brighton was essentially agricultural. Although Pittsfield's first settlers arrived in 1813, the area was considered too dangerous because of the British and Indian activity connected to the War of 1812. By 1820, the land was surveyed, and Milton Whitney became the owner of a large parcel. Whitney arranged for the Waite brothers of Russia Township to become the first permanent settlers in the spring of 1821. By 1831, there were enough residents to request that the county incorporate a township independent of Wellington. Pittsfield was chosen as the township's name to honor the Massachusetts hometown of many of the area's pioneers. LaGrange Township's first settler was Nathan Clark, who in the fall of 1825 established his new homestead on the east branch of the Black River. By the summer of 1826, 14 more settlers had arrived. The name LaGrange, which is French for the farm, was chosen to honor French General Lafayette, as it was also the name of his country estate. In 1827, the area was separated from Carlisle Township and reorganized with elections in April into the new township of LaGrange. By 1875, the center had grown into a village, also incorporated as LaGrange. The pioneer settler of the Camden area was Leonard Clark. Over the next 4 years, other families moved into the area, including Roswell Babcocks, who built the first frame house in 1833. Early on, the area was divided between Henrietta and Brighton townships. In 1835, the new township of Camden was created by the county commissioners, and the first elections held in April of 1836. When the first post office was established in 1835, the community was called Panelise. The name was changed to Camden, then later to North Camden. In 1852, the Lake Shore and Michigan Southern Railroad called its station Binghamton, but that was soon changed as the town adopted the name Kipton. Kipton's more important connection to the railroad was a tragic collision in 1891. The wreck was instrumental in the creation of standardized or railroad time. Rochester was the last township within the present-day boundaries of Lorain County to be settled. Stephen Babcock brought his family from Massachusetts in the spring of 1832 to settle on land he had prepared the previous year. The area grew quickly, and by 1835, the commissioners formed a new township with the first elections held in April of 1836. The township's farming and related businesses grew with the population. By 1880, close to 700 citizens lived in the area. The population shifted from Rochester Center to Rochester Station when the Big Four Railroad came through the township. The small town boom would turn to bust when the railroad eliminated Rochester as a scheduled stop. The depot would be used as a schoolhouse, as the home of the Rochester Rod and Gun Club, and today as the home of the Rochester Historical Society.